Everybody, my name is Sean.
I'm Steven.
Welcome to Descrit, and today we have two special guests today. We got
Tayler
and Kelsey.
So how you guys doing today?
Good.
The sun's out.
Yeah.
It's a Friday,
Yeah.
so
Thank you guys for making it happen. It was such a long time to get you guys together.
I know they're so
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah, you guys are too popular.
You're just
I'm glad
busy.
you guys
Busy
get time.
busy girls.
Yeah. So, Sean, would you like to start it off?
Yeah, let's kick it off. So, what made you choose this major and why?
Take it away.
Take it away, Taylor.
Okay. I mean, I just was a creative kid, I guess. I thought I wanted to go into fashion design when I was little, and I would like sketch a ton and just like drawing and like Legos and random stuff like that. And then kind of like through middle school and like in high school, I did a bunch of like summer camp type of things for architecture at like different universities and kind of like piqued my interest more, I guess. And then I just kind of went with it for college.
Where are you from, Taylor?
California.
What part?
The Bay Area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I also was a creative kid growing up, and my parents, especially my grandparents, always told me I needed to do something creative. But architecture didn't really seem like a thing to me until like high school. I did an AutoCAD class, and honestly, I was the only girl in there, and I was like, what the hell? Like, what's this about? And I made it kind of a competitive thing for myself, and yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was a cool combination of like creativity, but also there's some rigidness to it, and I think that was interesting to me. So.
Yeah. And where are you from?
From Gresham, Oregon.
Yes.
Oh, so you are Oregonian.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yep.
Sean's Eugenian.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
True duck fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that you guys are here, what year are you guys in?
Fourth year, yeah.
Okay, and so what have been some struggles in the major that you wish you would have known beforehand?
That's like always like a question people ask me, and I never know how to answer it because I feel like since I did all those programs like in high school and stuff leading up to college, I kind of understood how hard architecture school was going to be. So like I knew it was going to be time consuming and like hard overall and things like that. But I feel like the hardest thing maybe was just like balancing my time more because I'm involved in so many other things other than just architecture. So it was hard to like find a balance between school and non-school things and also like club things and things like that.
What about you?
Similarly, just I wanted to be involved when I came to college no matter what I was doing, and I think it was just balancing social things plus academics and doing well in both that, I mean, over time you get better at that, but yeah, that's probably still is the hardest part about it. So
Yeah.
So the summer camps, what did you do before then?
Before then?
Like, what did you do at those summer camps before coming into college?
Oh, yeah. So I did one at UC Berkeley, and it was kind of like an intro, kind of just, we built like a building on the campus, I think, of Berkeley, and like that was my first time modeling something, which was like a challenge, obviously, and like just like physical, like hand drawing, building things, stuff like that. And then I did another thing in the UK actually.
Whoa.
For a few months over the summer where I learned like more like model building skills and like drawing skills, and then like I went into like art history stuff there too, which was cool. And then my junior year, yeah, I think I did something at WashU St. Louis, which was like more rigorous kind of like here like type of work, which really like put me in place.
Dang, you did a lot before coming
Yeah.
in. You came with a lot of skill sets when you're about to take this major. That's crazy.
So have you applied any of the stuff you learned here from what you learned in those camps?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things I brought here came from WashU. That like ended up being my top choice. Didn't get in, but like whatever.
Yeah.
But like that was like my top choice, and I took a lot of the lessons I learned there and just like the techniques they like taught us and everything, and like hand drawing. I really brought into what I did here my freshman year and stuff and on. But
Yeah. So when you said Gresham,
Mm-hmm.
they had like architecture programs there?
I had one teacher who did AutoCAD, and that was it. And so I was doing drafting and stuff from freshman year on, and that's how I was interested in it. But then also, our whole district was going through a school bond, so I was able to see my high school transform, and then also with my mom working in the district, her entire school got rebuilt. So like seeing how those projects kind of developed from the computer was. Yeah, but
Yeah,
we
that's
only
cool.
had AutoCAD, and we don't use that. So
Yeah. What do you guys use now?
For the most part, like Rhino or like Revit.
Yeah.
That's like for like software, I guess. But then like Illustrator is like a big one I like to use.
Yeah.
yeah,
What about you?
same exact thing.
Yeah, Rhino and both. You switch off.
Yeah. I think it depends on the term because like last term I used a lot of Rhino and stuff like that, but in the past I've used both for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Anything else, Sean, you got?
No, we'll just move on to the next question. So how are you guys feeling about architecture right now? Loving it, hating it, feeling good about it?
I feel like all of us came in the first year super excited, right? Like, yeah, we got in. But then at what year does that die off? Like, when did that die off for you? Because you guys are over it and want to be done, I assume, right? 5 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did that go away?
I wouldn't say it like gone away or anything. Like I still really
They love it.
like. Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Oh.
use. I wouldn't
They
use
love
that.
it.
I still really like what I'm doing, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else other than architecture right now, at least. But I am getting really tired, and I think that kind of set in last year, like winter. That studio, it was like, wow, like I'm still here. So
Yeah.
it's definitely just like I'm more tired now, but I'm still liking what I'm doing.
Yeah, I feel like there was a turning point last year and then also again this fall because it was like all of my friends that are in architecture are wrapping up their last year and they're basically doing nothing for class. They're just like frolicking.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's a lot of thoughts of like if I was doing anything else I'd be graduating and moving on. But I think I'm tired of architecture in a school context, but I'm not tired of architecture as a profession.
Yeah.
And I think that I get excited talking about it still and learning all about it and everything, but the assignments and the rigor of how fast we're supposed to be learning things, just things that I want to learn on my own, that is what's getting tiring.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I feel that, right?
Yeah.
When did you guys meet? Like right off the bat, year one?
Well, year one we were in COVID.
Oh, okay.
So our entire year was online. So we met fall term of our sophomore year, second year of architecture school, because we were in the same studio.
Yeah.
And it was us and Alana and Alyssa and Sydney and like everyone.
Yeah.
We got really close with quickly.
Sydney, the one interior?
In your studio.
Yeah.
In your studio.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are on the same cohort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's something surreal, right? Going from Zoom and then you're the one on that camera when you guys met each other.
Yeah.
It was weird.
There were definitely a few names
where
there were definitely a few names where I was like, oh, I need to make sure I know who they are because their work is so impressive. And then seeing them in real life, I was like, whoa, you're the person that was doing all of this all year.
Yeah.
So it was a funny learning thing.
Yeah.
It was more of the work rather than their actual appearance because I didn't honestly recognize anyone.
I didn't know what.
When did you guys meet Sean?
Well, Sean and I studied abroad last summer, and that's when we became best friends.
Okay.
And then we've been in the same cohort since the beginning, but everyone's kind of shy.
Yeah, especially him, right? He's like
Yeah.
always somewhere over there just watching.
I do my own thing.
Yeah.
What I mean.
That's how I met him too. He was in a little corner, like at a distance, just staring, and I'm like, hey, what's up? but then I asked him for his name, and the only thing I remember was Kim. So I was calling him Kim for like a whole year because that's his last name.
Yeah.
And he never corrected me, like he didn't care, right? He was like, I'm not even gonna waste my time with this guy. So yeah, so there was a question that was brought up this Monday about how to improve studio culture.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about that? there was a student that specifically said that it's the professor's job to set up the tone to be able to allow students to feel comfortable speaking, and then not using that against them to like make it a case study, like using your vulnerability against you, so to speak.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like you guys are able to give opinions in certain situations, or you guys just hold everything to yourself because there's no room to provide feedback?
I think, like in a studio setting,
Yeah.
I think it depends on the ratio of students, because I had a studio a few years ago that I felt like I couldn't say anything, and it was like 4 or 5 undergrads and then 9 graduate students, and that dynamic to me was really daunting.
Yeah, I bet.
Because it was like the dynamic of undergraduate and graduate, which usually can be kind of weird, and then having a professor that didn't bring everyone together from the beginning. So that was a situation where I felt like I could not say a single thing. But then there's been other situations where it's a little more, I don't know if even's the right word, but there's just I guess broader variety of people in the studio, and I felt comfortable saying whatever. So I think for me, it's just more of the dynamic of the students rather than the professor, but the professor also does impact it and welcome it, or it doesn't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I would say, like, for me, I've luckily had pretty, like, good studio experiences all 4 years so far. And I had a studio the same time as Kelsey, as the one she was in at that time, with the, like, weird ratio of grad with undergrads. And I had the same ratio in mine, but my professor made, like, a really good point from the beginning to really include all of the undergrads and what we were doing, and, like, giving us not like more attention, but like it was our first vertical, I think, at that point. So it was like really crucial for us to like learn some of the things that grad and like fourth years and like all of them had already known. Yeah. Which was really good, because it was like a good transition point for us.
That term specifically was a jump scare to have a different ratio of grad to undergrad, but that also was, well, for me, that was the most drastic ratio I've experienced, but that also was the first time I've been in a studio without 16 undergraduate kids in it. So the support system of 16 to 18 kids literally went down to 5, and that was the issue for me.
Yeah. Does it feel intimidating? Like, are graduates know-it-alls at times? Does it feel like that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah? That's what he was saying. That's what he was saying.
No, we had this conversation.
Not all, but
not
definitely
all.
First impressions are not generally positive.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, we're talking about it. I'm like, why are grads such yappers? They just do whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we're like, and then he was explaining it to me why the reasons were.
It's because like once you get to a certain age, and I guess you gain more experience, like breaking barriers to just say hello or go up to someone and ask, it goes away. Because you kind of have built more grit, and like you've been there, done that, to where like now the question of like once you're gone, right, for example, and you're like, I should have just asked that person for that. It would have been easier. So now at that age, you realize that, and you cut that out, and you're like, hey, Kelsey, can I borrow your, ruler? So all of that shyness goes away at that point, and I think that's why grads are more vocal, but I get the how you feel like we can come off like know-it-alls, and I completely understand that, and I always try to stay quiet most of the time. But then once I hear students, because when students say things sometimes, like I'm like, no, that's not how it is. And I bite my tongue, so I pick and choose my battles now. Yeah. Anything else to add here, Sean?
Well, I had a weird grad experience earlier this year where somebody that I have had classes with came up to me and said, "Oh, Kelsey, you look really familiar." Not saying my name, like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Are you kidding? We have had classes together now for 4 years, and you're saying I look familiar? We've had studio together. Like, we are peers."
Yeah, you know who I am.
That kind of stuff is like crazy to me.
Yeah,
we're all in the same classes.
Yeah.
So that's where it's a little overboard.
Yeah, that's not cool. What's next?
Question.
Have you had any memorable experiences or projects during your time studying architecture that have shaped your perspective?
Something that I think was a turning point for making friends in architecture was the Luminaire project in ECS. I think especially because our cohort, I guess all of us, our first year was online. I was really shy and really didn't have anyone that I knew going into it. And finally, by that spring term project, us and then Alana and Alyssa were kind of repeatedly hanging out, and that was the project where we did our all-nighters and we did it, and that was a project that we're still all really proud of. So that brought us together as a friend group, but then also that was the first project where I think I was actually proud of it and like still am, versus most studio projects I don't feel that way. So
Damn. What about you?
I was gonna say the same for like friends aspect, and then like personally, I think my first terminal studio is one I was like really proud of. It was like a daycare center, and it was the one that had like all like grad students or like fourth years, so it was like intimidating, and I only had like I think 4 other like third years maybe I think. So it was like like a lot, but I at the end of it I was like super proud of my work, and also I just learned a lot from that studio that I still can like use now.
Yeah. What about you, Sean? Anything to add to this? I had a memorable experience in undergrad where they mixed the landscape architects, MLA, the masters with us, the undergrads. And what I liked about that, to bring back the previous question, is that a grad student stood up for a female student who was being bullied by the professor. And the scenario was that the girl was talking to her girlfriend, and was saying something, and they just started laughing. And mind you, the professor was already on his way out, so he was just salty. And so when he caught her talking, he just goes, "Hey, what did I just say?" And then she just stared, and he's like, "You see? This is what's wrong with the generation. You guys don't listen." And then he just like for a solid 5 minutes, he was just attacking her. And I felt bad, and I'm like, damn, like how long are we gonna go with this? And then the grad student stood up for her, and he was just like, "Hey, I'm paying money here. I think we get the point. I don't think you need to be that harsh on her. What's going on with you? What's your problem?" And he stopped it. So I'm glad that the setting is that it's mixed with grads. Because I think sometimes it works out for undergrads in certain situations. Have you guys had any situation like that where grads like said, like, for example, "I think this is too much work you guys are giving us," or something along those lines?
In that same studio where the dynamic was weird, I think by the final, there was such a built up like tension between not us, but then also the requirements that were asked of us at the final, plus the dynamic of our professor, where at the end, finally, everyone was like being supportive and everything. And some of them like still come up to me and say hi and stuff now, but it's like, does it take a final presentation to get that far or not? So
I feel that.
Definitely there was, I don't know.
It's super unfortunate. Like, did it have to take that to get us here?
Yeah. Now we're trauma bonded together.
What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, as busy people as you guys are, how do you guys balance the architecture workload?
He totally didn't read that off the screen.
I think like freshman, sophomore year, I kind of struggled a lot with it, just because like obviously like being hard on yourself like those first couple of years, and like all of like the weed out classes and everything was like really difficult. And so I would like stay up all night and like try to do everything perfectly and all this stuff. And like freshman year was different from us because it was on Zoom, so I wasn't like involved with anything at that point. But like obviously sophomore year, I started getting more like different clubs and organizations on campus. So I knew I had to like start figuring things out. So I kind of just started really balancing like once studio is over, like I'm done with that. Let's do something else for like a couple hours. And then if I need to work on something else, then I'll go back to it kind of thing. So kind of just like learning how to allocate my time better, so I'm not just constantly thinking about architecture and like, or blowing off architecture to do other things at other times.
I think I learned how to say no to things. Because when you are involved in so many things, there are people that don't understand what architecture demands of you, especially here. So I definitely had to learn, specifically sophomore year, how to stand up for myself and not get pulled over by something that's going to set me back academically, but then also the balance of also saying no to when you're done with architecture or you're done with a assignment or something and you give yourself enough time to take a breath and actually socialize. So I think I had to really learn how to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
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 Because you have to take care of you most importantly, right? Like, do you.
Yeah.
Mental wellness is a real thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need that. I've been taking advantage of this week of just resting because it just feels so demanding in terminals. Are you guys are all in terminals too?
Mm-mm.
Right, Sean?
Yeah, we're getting cooked.
Yeah.
Cooked.
That's what I'm scared about.
Yeah.
Cooked, man. The burnout's too fast.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it either because then they tell us, just to let you guys know, none of this is going to be in your final posters. Just you guys should know. I'm like, what?
Right, I just died for nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, on top of other things. But so how do you stay inspired and creative when you face deadlines and creative blocks? Because you know how it's like another term and then you get a week off and now here's the winter term.
Yeah.
How do you guys stay inspired and what gets you guys to bring the creative juices out?
For me, well, us specifically, we both really love sports.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it has helped me the last few years to have something that I can focus on and shut my brain off so I'm not constantly thinking about one thing the entire time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is my time allocated to go to the football game.
Yeah.
And then after, maybe I'll think about architecture or something else. So I think for me, it's very like I need to block out the time where I'm going to be thinking and putting a lot of energy to it. And then also valuing when I might need a break or those social things that I don't want to miss out on. So I think breaking it up helps me stay sane, but then also stay focused and not get so overwhelmed so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say like kind of the same thing. Like just like we'll be at a football game and like if my brain is like shut off from like architecture stuff, I'll still like be able to like if I see something cool, I'll be like, ooh, like that's kind of cool, like save that for later.
Yeah,
and then like later I'll like write it out or like sketch it out or something like that. So it's like knowing when to just turn your brain off, I guess.
And then that's
helps.
when the creativeness comes, right? Like you're at a
Yeah.
football game. That's what I needed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially if things pop up when you are supposed to be shut off, if it's that important and you're noticing it when you're supposed to be off the clock of like architecture, then maybe it's a decent idea to remember later.
Yeah.
So.
Sean did that last term where you were done with the quarter and he went to Singapore and came back super inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think, I just went to Pucklers and got inspired, you know? But whatever helps you in the end, right?
Yeah.
Because it's needed. I think that's the proper solution of going about when we get creative blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like so many deliverables that we're vomiting without even knowing why we vomited. Like I haven't ate, it's just water vomit at this point. And so once you go out and you take care of you and you do all of that, I think that's when the brain is like putting the pieces together in your head to come back with an idea, a solid idea.
Yeah.
I realized like when I'm not thinking about it, that's when my ideas are the most greatest.
Yeah.
When I'm not even thinking about it, it just comes out of blue. I'm like, okay, maybe this is the time to start like going for it now because all the ideas are just coming in right now. But
you guys note it down on a journal or you guys just it's something that you lock in the brain and you remember?
It's like both. Kind of like Sean, like I travel a lot too, like in the summers and stuff. So like if I'm traveling and I'm like, ooh, that's a cool building or like that's a cool, I don't know, like pattern or like color, then I'll like note it down or like take a picture and I'll get home and I'll like maybe sketch it, probably not, but like I'll like have it for like fall term or like other terms to like look back and be like, oh, like that's cool, like and get inspired by something I saw like on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to take pictures of things that like are like visual examples of inspiration, but honestly, if I get an idea in my head, I kind of just over-fixate on it until I do something about it so I don't really forget it, if I'm honest.
Yeah. And when you guys are in those moments, do you guys ever get like, which leads almost to our next question, have you guys ever gotten a valuable piece of advice from a mentor or a professor? Have you guys ever had that experience?
TBD.
A valuable?
Yeah.
Damn. That's that. Okay, we need to talk about that because that's what that. Did you before I move on?
Probably like little like bits and pieces, I guess, like from each studio. I think really impactful was fall term last year. My professor was just like really like great, like the best. So like every time I talked to her, like it was like, oh, like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like it was just really good. But yeah, little small things, nothing like specific, I would say.
Yeah. But so on Monday, that was sort of the conversation of students being able to speak through core surveys. Because, you know, like in the case with grad students and undergrads, you don't want to speak up.
Yeah.
And so with the surveys, you're allowed to speak up while remaining anonymous. And, you know, the person leading the conversation was saying that we shouldn't even be anonymous to begin with. There should be a way for us to voice our opinion without getting judged or getting flack or getting red flag.
Mm-hmm.
We should just be able to speak up. It's a public university.
Yeah.
But obviously we know it's easier said than done, right? We'll get blackballed and remembered forever. Jot that person down. So like, is it frustrating for you guys sometimes? Like not being able to like speak up and say, like, man, give me some words of encouragement here. This is tough. Like this is where I need you guys the most. Or you guys are okay without it?
I would say a little bit of both. Like, I guess it is really helpful to have a professor to just be like kind of like rallying behind you and like kind of being encouraging. But also like if they're not being encouraging, like I need them to be, like I can figure it out. I don't like it's okay.
Wow.
I mean, we've been doing it long enough.
Yeah.
Like, all right, same routine. Like, we all know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or at least just some recognition, like, hey, nice job, you did it, you pulled through, but sincere.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. Like for me, just being like, oh, like that's really nice drawing or like really cool model or something like that is like what kind of helps me the most, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of positive reinforcement is nice.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I don't need a lot, but don't just say you hate it and then don't give me an explanation why.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel that. That's what happens.
Like, just a little bit of direction, either in a positive way, like, yeah, keep going, or, oh, maybe let's steer this in a different direction. That is kind of all I need. I feel like I'm a pretty independent person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really need someone to be like, you go, girl, like, you can do it. But just something to kind of make sure I'm still on a path that they not, I guess, agree with, but they see that I can do something with. That is the most important.
Yeah. Do you guys like working in groups or individual?
I would say if it's like a group, like we work together a lot with like Alana and Alyssa, as like everyone knows, but like like we work together well and like we have like a good system to like work off.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say like most of the time, if it's not with them or like other people I'm close with in the cohort, I would prefer to work by myself.
Yeah.
Just because I am pretty independent, like overall. So I like work better alone, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have good people like bounce ideas off of, then I'm good with like collabing.
Well, I think what made us a close pairing of four, like early on, was all the projects we did have together. Like we had all of our labs coincidentally together. And stuff like that brought us together. And I think we were able to prove to ourselves that we could work together as a group and it could be successful and positive, and no one was, doing too much, or everyone had their role.
Yeah.
And I think that's what brought us together as friends outside of architecture too. But similarly to what Tayler just said, it's hard trying to work through even just how you communicate with the group to get something done. And I think the the barrier and the working through that can be kind of hard, especially if there's a really tough deadline or like the project's really extensive or something like that. But my best case scenario would be working independently, but then having everyone else to bounce my ideas off of, kind of in a studio setting where everyone can kind of give each other feedback that's valuable and critical without it. Like, you can still make your own decisions too.
Yeah.
So
have you guys ever been in a group where there's a lot of ego involved? Oh, you guys have always been together?
No.
Okay.
No. Was it for ProCon?
Oh, recently.
Recently I had a group where,
You experienced that?
Yeah. Things were...
Not to the extent that this situation was, so it has made me grateful for my experiences in group work outside of the group that we usually try to work with.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely watching whatever happened with that was tough.
How did you deal with it, Taylor? For a student coming in that has no idea that this exists, how did you deal through? How did you go through?
It was the first time that like
the bullet.
That was the first time?
The first like bad group experience I've had.
Like,
I would say like this bad, But Alana was also in the group with me, but this was like the first time we had to like kind of advocate for ourselves and like go to the professor and be like, look, this is what's happening. We need help. Like, anything you can do to help and like make this better for us, like, please help, because it was it was bad.
Damn. So did you feel like, did you walk out at any of these times?
I wanted to.
You just bit your tongue.
Yeah, it was just like a thing where it had to get done, and like, I'm not gonna let my grades suffer because of someone else like not wanting to be a good like teammate and like work together on something. So I just did what I had to do to get it done.
Is it the infamous student? The one from the pod that we talked about with Alyssa?
No, it's a younger year, right?
Correct.
Yes.
It's a younger year.
Okay.
It's your partner.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also an undergrad student that you guys know about that is like has a whole track record about being like that. He's in my Rhino class, and the student hasn't showed up at all.
Correct.
Yeah.
At all.
Correct.
And and I'm like,
right.
I'm struggling in this class because it's Grasshopper, it's parametric design.
Yeah.
And he doesn't show up, and I'm like, if I don't get a better grade than him, I'm raising hell. Because
that's valid.
Yeah.
Because it's not cool, and I don't even want to take it to the white privilege thing, because I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is, but it's coming off like that hard, because why aren't they doing anything?
Yeah.
But if it was me, like, I've already lost 2 peers from my cohort that are of color, and then I had a recent incident with another student last week that told me, hey, there aren't any black people in architecture. And I'm like, yeah, you should say that out loud, I told him. But I'm not even trying to be an anarchist and none of that, but it's sad how like these situations, we know about them, you know, as people of color, we know about these situations that happen to our community. And then you have students like the ones we all know, and they're going to graduate with us.
Yeah.
And that stings. That stings.
Yeah.
As Will Ferrell in Anchorman says, it stings the nostrils. So yeah, that's the downside about, you know, architecture school at times, right? We told the professor about it, and the professor was like, I don't think it was that. And I'm like, I went through it, not you. Like, you're not allowed to judge or opinionate of what I went through. I'm the one feeling it. Let me cut you and then say what I think. No, you're not in pain. You're bleeding. But it burns. No, let me put some lemon there. Yeah, it gets like that.
Yeah.
Have you experienced it with the student? With the infamous student?
Oh. I've seen, yeah. Infamous student was in some of my classes last year, and similar thing. They did not show up, and then popped up for the last few weeks, and I was like, oh,
there you are.
Glad to see you're gonna pass. Yeah. Because I worked my butt off in this class, and you did not.
Yeah.
So. Paid to win, baby.
Thankfully, I don't have much class time with this person most of the time, but it's more just through consistent stories of the same thing happening class and studio and class again, that it's like, oh, this is a significantly large pattern.
Yeah.
So
damn.
Yeah.
It's okay, man. Yeah, we're almost done. We're almost done.
What do you guys consider your greatest accomplishment so far?
Making it this far in architecture school.
Did you guys feel like quitting at any point?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. No way.
Last fall, where everything kind of went downhill for my first vertical, that was the first time where I actually questioned everything. Yeah. Because before then, I was so set. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. People around me would be like, oh, I want to do architecture. And I'm like, no, I'm doing this. Yeah. And then that studio came around and everything shifted. And I think I'm still recovering from it in like a what do I want out of architecture school perspective. Because it was such a rough experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think getting through that studio specifically, but then also not letting it like impact me now is probably,
Yeah, I didn't have anything as drastic as Kelsey and all of our other friends did with that studio. But like, I've never said I wanted to quit. Like, seriously, I say it like as a joke.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've always really liked it. So like, I don't want to quit it. It gets really tough at times. And it's like, wow, like I'm doing this, but I've never wanted to actually quit, I don't think.
Yeah. Oh man, I had a question follow. What do you have anything? I was going to follow up with what they said. I think I know the professor that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But okay, that's what I was going to say. Are you voicing any of this in the core survey? Like when
that
it
one
ends?
Specifically because it was so impactful to my mental health, honestly, that
you
yes.
did. Okay.
And so did everyone else. And so I felt, I don't know if safe's the right word, but I guess like everyone else was doing it. So I was like, oh, I can do this too. And like, it'll be fine. But it does kind of hurt when they come back again. when I was promised they wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I heard about that kind of stung a little, but it's also like,
yeah.
I think that studio taught me what kind of experience I never want to be in ever again in an office environment. Like that's the kind of environment I will never find myself in again. Yeah. Period. Like I will not do that to myself again.
Like if you were working at that firm, that's the equivalent of you quitting.
Every firm that professor is involved in, I would never apply to. Yeah. Like if that's who is coming out of those places, count me out.
Yeah. So do you guys think it's worthy of doing a core survey? Did you feel like that once you saw him come back? Like I'm not doing that again.
I mean, I still do it. For ones that I feel strongly about, either positive or negative, but I don't do them all the time. And honestly, I think part of it is the timing of when this core surveys close and when they come out, because half the time when that's happening, I'm in the middle of every project getting slammed at me all at once, and I just honestly don't have the time.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not doing those projects, I'm not going to spend more time thinking about those projects or the classes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say the same.
So when do you guys think they should set them out to come out? Like when should they pop up? Like a week after midterm, or like only the one at the end of the course?
I feel like after midterm would be like a really good spot to do it at, because you have like
it's like a check-in point.
Yeah, like at least like 5 weeks with the professor and in that class to kind of evaluate it. And then like obviously if they send like a second one out like at the end, then you can like follow up on what you really think. But I think just like the one at the end of the like term is just like
it's just too late, right?
Yeah,
what's
it's
the
too late.
now?
Yeah.
I also don't feel like I haven't had a professor use a midterm course survey. Like they haven't used the feedback seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I understand it's hard to change the structure or change assignments that quickly, but it is kind of like, if this isn't really benefiting me, like, do I really want other people to have it? Like,
yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Do you fill out the surveys?
Hell no. They don't do anything.
Yeah, they don't.
Most of the time you do it, still the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, at this point, it don't even matter.
Yeah.
There was 2 professors this term that gave us the time of lecture to fill it out. You guys too?
Yeah, they've been doing that a lot recently.
They're getting desperate for them now.
Yeah.
But if they're not doing anything, then what's the point, you know?
There's really no point.
So, yeah. There was a student that came out hard this Monday. He's going to be interviewed at 7 o'clock. So you guys will find out about that incident that happened. So then you guys think the best solution is just to like finish the class and just don't bring it up anymore?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm on the advisory board for architecture. And so there's like a small, like a couple of us within the school. Like, I think there's a few third years and then like there's grad students too that are a part of it. And so that's kind of my chance to kind of like voice what I've been seeing like around our cohort and just like around us in general, like in the school. And I'll like take what people are like complaining about, like all of us, what we like think, and I'll kind of voice those opinions, which I think sometimes help, but like you never really know, like with being here. So I don't know.
Yeah. We just got rally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So far, now that you guys are in 5th year, what's your favorite architectural tool?
I'm gonna say InDesign because that means that I'm done.
Yeah. Putting pieces together.
Yeah.
I'd say Illustrator just because I like using it a lot with different like I like rendering on Illustrator sometimes, which is like controversial, but I like doing it.
I mean, if it works for you, it works for you.
In some ways, yeah.
Do you guys use like Rhino or Revit and then Illustrator?
Yeah.
Or you guys are just straight Enscape and put it up there, call it a day?
No. That will like never be me. Like if you can do that like really, really well, I respect you for it because like they look fantastic. Like there's people in our cohort that are just like crazy at doing that and like outputting like Enscape, like renderings like that. That's not me at all. Like I just don't like doing it and I don't like the look of it, at least when I do it. So I prefer like Illustrator and like even like hand drawing like rendering stuff more. Yeah.
What about you, Kelsey?
My hot take is I don't like renderings at all.
So
like when they're in Enscape and stuff, I just hate it. So I don't really use it often.
No?
I just don't like it. I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. I think I just prefer, especially because studios are so short in time that it is at the point of the final, like the whole thing is still pretty much theoretical and like base 1, that taking a rendering so seriously to me feels a little dramatic.
Yeah.
Not everyone agrees with that, but I don't know. I just think it's just too realistic too quick.
Yeah, there's professors that don't like it either. They want it to be black and white because it's not done yet.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
Next question, Sean.
How do you guys stay motivated or overcome self-doubt?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just like taking a pause from like architecture things is what helps. Like the only thing that helps, honestly, and just like removing myself, which was like been good this year, I would say, because I haven't been in Lawrence Hall like at all.
No?
So
you haven't been to your second home?
No. Yeah, no. It's just been like after last year too, because I did 3 studios in a row, which was like really tough, even though one was in Vicenza because I went abroad, but like still doing like those 3, I was like super burnt out in the summer. So like this year I made a point to be like, if I don't have to be there for like a class or something, I'm not going to be there because I need a break mentally and like physically from being in that building and like being around everyone all the time and stuff. So
yeah. That's good for you. That explains why I haven't seen you.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I guess kind of similar. But I feel like college from from the get go, it's intimidating because especially with architecture, like everyone at this point that's in the program still is super intelligent. They know what they're wanting to do for the most part, or I guess not, but like everyone, you have a good group of people surrounding you. And it's hard to not compare yourself to other people, but there's so many other styles and ideas out there that I have to remind myself to not. And so I think it's the constant like internal reminder, but then again, similar to some of our other responses about like just taking breaks, like I think it's been good for me to focus on things that are happening outside of architecture and just constantly remember that literally everything else is still happening. Yeah. If you're like freaking out about architecture, like you can still go to the football game and be fine. So it's just also like trying to make sure I'm not getting too zoned into what other people are doing, what I'm doing, and if I think it's good enough, and realizing that there's so much more going on than just your one project. So, but it's always, a battle.
Yeah.
For sure.
It is. Our major's tough.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming for sure. Just here we go again, another studio.
It's a mental process when you're about to sign up studio. Like, all right, about to get
here
ready.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy until the assignment is given. Right? Then disperses to their friends.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about your current progress in architecture?
I've been like happy with it, I guess. I think just like seeing where I started freshman year, I've had like a steady like incline of like skills and like getting better at like what I'm doing, which I've been pretty happy about. So yeah.
I think it's been hard to not compare myself to other people. I think that really slowed me down in the beginning. But I think I'm starting to realize that it's literally no one's business what I'm doing. And I should just focus on myself and growing what I'm doing and not really looking at what other people are doing and if it's more advanced or whatever, because I can only control my progress. So I think that perspective has made me realize how much I've grown, but my skills are not at the point that I think, expecting them to, but it's also like, I don't know if that thought is coming from just feeling unprepared to work in a firm in general.
Okay. Thank you for your honesty.
Well, and just also realizing that, like, when you graduate, there's so much more to learn.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm going to learn what I can, but like, you will not feel prepared. And I think that's the thought I'm trying to accept.
Yeah.
So.
How has your experience been so far here at the university?
I've liked it. I will say Oregon was my very last choice for college. I was like, I was not coming here.
Why?
I just
you didn't want to leave Cali?
Well, that was the thing. I wanted to leave California. Everyone thought I was crazy for that. But my first choice was WashU, and then I was gonna go to like New York for like Syracuse or something. And then Oregon, I was like it aligns. Yeah, like literally like backup school. But it did align perfectly with like what I wanted to do with architecture. And so I was like, okay, like gotta make a decision. Like one like aligns perfectly. One like I wanted to go to for like years in high school. So I was like, do I take like my dream school or like practically like will I learn what I want to learn out of like my 5 years at this school? And that was Oregon. And I think I have to this point like learned what I wanted to learn out of the program here, which has been cool.
Yeah. Coming from someone that lives in Oregon and grew up in Oregon, it seemed just like the boring default choice. I grew up playing a lot of volleyball, and we'd go and, play on people like all the campuses and stuff, like Stanford and UW. We'd come here every year. And through those tournaments and stuff, I would walk through the campuses and just kind of get a feel. My mom's works in education, so that was like a big priority to her when we would travel and stuff. And I really fell in love with UW's campus. It just felt cool. It felt like it was a bigger city, and it felt like it was just a healthy distance away from home where there wasn't like a leash on me, but I could go home if I wanted to. So I only applied to UW in Oregon, and I got into both. And because of COVID, I had to kind of reevaluate what I was really looking for. And I was doing a lot of research, and I think it was the accreditation that really got me to stay at home, basically. And that was kind of, and just being closer to home and like in-state tuition and all that stuff were also factors. So that was most of it. But then also growing up in the Portland area, Nike like runs my world. If you do not have Nikes, you're a freak. And so that was a big part for me too, because I grew up playing sports, like love it, my whole family, everything. And at the time, all of Oregon sports were better than UW's, and they were a Nike school, so it was kind of like a no-brainer. So it was that combination of things that got me here. I've liked it, and I stand by my decision. Of course, I'll always wonder what would happen if I moved to Seattle and everything, but it's kind of funny because my freshman year roommate and then some other of our friends, they were also choosing between UW and Oregon. So there's a little community of us that wishes we were in Seattle, but it's okay. I stand by my decision.
Yeah, at least, oh man, you guys are not done. I was going to say, at least you guys are almost done, but you guys aren't taking the terminal.
Got one more year.
It's okay.
It's okay. At least you guys are enjoying your time off.
I think we're taking like 4 classes over the entire year, so we'll be fine.
Oh man, that's cool. Any last thoughts or anything you guys would like to add? Or a question we missed?
How was Vicenza? How was your experience?
I liked Vicenza. I know there's been like mixed reviews about it, and I recommended it to like all the people that are on the trip right now because I loved it. But I just like, I've traveled before a lot, and so I like knew what to kind of expect. And I had been out of the country before by myself for like a month or 2 or something. So like homesickness like wasn't like a factor for me, which I know like a lot of people on our trip like did struggle with that for a little bit of like our stay there. But I loved it like overall, and I think it was just like a unique experience to like be there. And like Switzerland is like, I want to be there right now really bad, but yeah, like I really loved it. So I had no complaints. Well, there were a couple, but like like not like big ones.
Ew. You went, how was your Italy experience?
Rome was perfect. My only complaint was the weather. Yeah, I think it was a good balance for me of it not being too rigorous where I couldn't focus on just being there and living my summer there, but there was enough like history and stuff into it where I did also feel like I was there fulfilling like architecture classes and stuff. So to me it was the perfect balance, and I think we had a good group. There wasn't too much drama, so like just enough to talk about it, but not enough to be involved, so it was great. Yeah.
Did you bring back anything cool from Italy?
I brought back an Italian charm bracelet, and I was collecting little charms like when we were going places and stuff because they started in Florence. So I got like my last few charms in Florence. So that was a cool thing for me. And I got a bag, but yeah, I don't know.
There was a coworker I worked with that said he went to Rome and he brought a little piece of rock from the what's it called? The Colosseum.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You guys didn't bring anything like that? Anything cool like that?
No, I bought too much stuff.
Yeah.
You guys were just ready to come back home at a certain point?
Yeah. We went to Rome too for like our first week there in Vicenza. And I already been to Rome like when I was younger, and I had taken a rock with me when I was like 12. So
dang, you traveled a lot. Where have you been?
I've been a lot of places. But yeah, I've been around Italy before, and then I've been to Germany and China. Whoa. And then last summer I went to Egypt and Dubai.
Nice.
So
How was Egypt?
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Yeah. I had like an obsession with Egypt when I was little.
Really?
So.
Okay.
Full circle moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you go to Dubai Mall?
I did.
That was wild.
It's insane. Insane. Yeah.
Would you want to live there?
Low key, when I was there, I was like, wait, like, Mom, like, I'm gonna stay. Like,
Yeah.
It's the most safest, securest, like everything. Like everything's nice there.
Yeah.
It's expensive, but not expensive in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like, yes, that is one of the richest cities, but it's like not, I don't know how to explain it. It's like weird.
Yeah. Like it's not, it wouldn't be too bad living there, I feel like.
Yeah.
Maybe if I like get rich architecture, I'll move.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you guys so much for coming. I'm glad you guys came through and answered with such honesty that I'm sure the viewers will appreciate.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Yay.
Cool.